Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, this is a story. It's all about my past. Sometimes when I remember uh, who I were then, I cry. What I have gone through, I cry. But sometimes it motivates me to be a better person and keeps me moving. And what I've gone through, it has made me a better person who I am today. So back then, when I had just I finished my S6, so I didn't have my parents didn't have that much money to push me to the university. I didn't have my parents didn't have that money to get me to the university, so they opted for a college. So I enrolled for a college in a Kabale, UCC Kabale, for a diploma. Halfway the course, I dropped out because the parents were not that able to sustain and pay my tuition to finish my course. So I didn't finish the course. So I was looking for what next. Then I connected with my friend who was my village mate, and he was doing airtime business in Kampala, Nankulabye. So he gave me a job to sell airtime in Nankulabye, and I was staying down in Chiwunya, in one of the slums for those who cannot afford decent accommodation. And I remember we were sleeping in a room 4 people, and we bought one mattress and we are only using it to put our heads. So we are putting our heads and the legs were on the floor. We could only put our heads on the mattress and then the legs on the floor. That's the kind of life we are living in Chiwunya, in one of the suburbs, the ghettos in Nankulabye. Those who know Nankulabye might be knowing that place. So I was selling airtime in Nankulabye. At that roundabout there was a booth. That's where I was selling airtime. And then after like 2 years, my father calls me and says, my son, they are recruiting police. Are you interested? I was like, no, I cannot manage. I cannot go to police. But the situation was not good, what I was going through. And here was an opportunity to get a job and start earning some small money for myself. Then fortunately or unfortunately, the police didn't raise the number they wanted, so they made another phase of recruitment. Then I traveled to the village, I went to the recruitment center, did the interview, did all the tests, and I went home to wait for the results. I remember very well, I was in my room and my mother was on a radio, on a local radio station, and when they read the names of those who have passed and we are to travel to Masindi, Kabadia Police Training School for recruitment, and they read my name, my mom came running and crying, my son, God has remembered us. God has remembered you. She came running, hugging me, crying. I was like, yeah, let me go and change my family's status. I traveled to Masindi, did the training for 1.5 years, came to the... So, I remember when we passed out, our deployment I remember very well we were gathered in Nambole and we were reading names of those who were to be deployed in the traffic, those who were to be deployed in fire brigade, canine, those who handled the dog section, those who, and my name was read among those who were supposed to be deployed in MPPU by then FFU, whose job was to query riots, and I was to go to Naguru barracks, police barracks in Naguru, for accommodation. Now, here is what sometimes makes me cry, but sometimes makes me happy, that I have come from very far. That when I reached Naguru, I was to see the OC barracks, what they call them in the barracks. They call them OC barracks. A person who is in charge of allocating police officers, especially those who have come from training, their accommodation. I was given an input. And those who know inputs, an input is a metallic heart-like house. It is a metallic and it is in the shape of a heart, and it is metallic. When it is at night, it is very cold, and when it is during day, it is very hot, that even you can't find sleep in it. So I was given an input, and guess what I found there? We are supposed to share that input 2 police officers, and I was supposed to share it with a senior police officer who had joined police before me, and he was senior to me, and he was married, and he was staying in that input with his wife. What makes this story more interesting, and when I remember it, it keeps me moving to be a better person, is that when I reached in the house, I found this man. It was late in the evening, and he was preparing to go for duty. He was on night guard, working somewhere at night. He was preparing, brushing his shoes, and his wife was preparing a meal there. And guess what? We have shared that same input with a married police officer. And an input has no bedrooms, has no walls, has no bedrooms. And what was supposed to separate my room and his was a curtain in between. A curtain. The family is the other side, I'm this side, and what is separating us is a curtain. Oh my God. So a police officer who is married is sharing with me a person who has joined police, and for him is working night, so he could always leave me at night in an input with his wife, because he was working at night. And for me, I was working, I was now deployed during the day, so I could come in the evening when for him he is going for duty. Enter my house, enter that input. My workmate's wife is sleeping the other side, and what is separating us is a curtain. This is a very tempting situation, my colleagues. I had sleepless nights sharing a room with a woman, and what separates you is a curtain. And sometimes she could even intentionally do things that if you are not a strong-hearted person, you fall into a trap or you fall into trouble. What could she do? She could go out and bathe, because the bathrooms, the bathrooms are outside, the inputs, and sometimes you share the bathrooms. She could bathe, then come in a lasso, in a towel wrapped, and then she keeps shaking as she enters her side of the room, shaking as I am there. I asked God, God, make me a better person. I may suffer today, but tomorrow will be better. So I'm going to be running a series of stories of my life in Uganda Police Force. And what is it like to be in police, especially in Uganda Police? What do you go through? What do you face? What are the challenges? What are the benefits? What are the ups and downs? Keep tuned. Keep here.